Hi everyone, hope all of you are doing good. So we are almost getting back to a normal life. At least we're fooling ourselves that things are getting back to a normal life. So if all of us manage to survive, we still have to take an exam, and that's why I think this is a very important area that I wanted to discuss with my students. Is how are you going to write an answer? Because while evaluating the Karnataka State Law University exam, there are some common mistakes that I've come across, especially since I've evaluated Indian Penal Code. There are some things that I believe could be informed to the student. I'm very sure everyone's been trying to tell this to the students that it goes as a passing statement. Teachers have taken the effort over and again trying to tell them what exactly or what at least the minimal that must go into an answer script. So just a small attempt to tell you that again, and I'm recording it as a video so you can rehear it before your exams also. This is not a guarantee to get 100 on 100, or this is not a guarantee about the score that's going to come, but it is about how do you structure your answers and how do you approach the questions that's given to you. All right, this is only so that it makes your life and the evaluator's life a little bit easy at least. All right, so one of the common mistakes that I see is most of the law papers are treated as a social science paper, which is the first mistake that the law students make. You are a law student who must be writing a law paper with the adequate laws, sections, and case laws. And that is what you are trying to study there. So when you attempt these papers, it is essential that you reflect all this in the paper and then just filling in papers. You have 3 hours and 40 sheets to convince our evaluator that you know at least the basic concepts of what you're trying to study. So you might know it in your head, but the way it reflects on the answer script in that given period of time is what's going to judge you. We also understand marks is not everything, but it is definitely something. All right. So let me just take you through, at least I'm referring to the 80-20 pattern that you have right now, especially to my first years and second years. And this can also go for the final years about what goes into the paper, right? So in an 18-20 scheme, you have 20 marks for the internals and 80 marks for the end-term. And in the end-term, the exam pattern is that it is unit-wide exams where every unit has a 10 mark and a 5 mark question with option in it. I don't think your life can be any more better, right? So you have all the units where you have uh, 10 mark and 5 marks, and you have an alternative question towards the question that's given there. So though it doesn't let you skip a unit, which is very good, because if you don't study now, you're not going to be studying at later point. You need to get your foundation clear if you really need to do well in whatever professional life you take forward, right? If you don't do your homework and just blame the system for not helping you out, it doesn't work either, right? And there are mainly three types of questions that the university exam has. That is one, the long answer, which is a 10 mark, the short answer, which is a 5 mark, and a problem based question. All right. So now we would look at how do you write a long answer question. Right. The long answer question is a 10 mark question, and what you're looking in the answer is the following. So in an introduction, please don't go around beating around the bush about the sociological part that you've studied. You're not writing a general paper. All right. Definitely introduction, colorful introduction is perfect, good, well, but that's not the only thing that you're looking at. We are also looking at the section that you need to remember. A paper like taught might not have the section in it, but it definitely has the definitions, a concept that has been clarified. Once you have the section that goes in, which is a section number, you can go around to give us what the concept is legal than telling us simply about a hearsay about that concept. All right. Followed by the section, you would draw out the essentials of the section. Every section would have essentials which goes as 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the checklists of the parameter that satisfies an act or an offense to come under that particular provision, right? And in those sections, what is relevant when you list out those essentials, it's very important that you pay attention to the relevant legal terms that is used thereunder, because each legal term has a specific reference to it. For example, when you attempt an IPC paper, what is relevant is if the provision uses knowledge, your usage of intention changes the purpose of that section, right? There is a relevance why certain term is used. For example, while I was evaluating one of the paper and there was a question offenses against marriage, one of the common mistakes, especially when you look at bigamy as an offense, the usage of terms like a valid first marriage, the fact of a valid, the term valid comes essential because that is what distinguishes that particular section from any other. So if in case your first marriage is invalid, getting married again might not be an offense under the Indian Penal Code. Alright? So you have certain terms that's used in the essential puts that makes that act an offense. So please make sure you write down the essentials, bring out the crucial terms that's relevant for the essential, followed by the explanation to the essential. That is where you're going to be giving out what is the relevance or what you mean by these essential, which is being laid down through case laws. And please make sure you refer to case laws because that is what the interpretation to that particular provision is. I understand you are also important as a student, you also have freedom to provide your interpretation, but as far as an answer is concerned, maybe we're not giving you so much of liberty and we still demand case laws with proper case names to be given, right? We understand there might be situations where you are not able to remember the case names in total. At least give the first case, doesn't guarantee you the same marks, but at least give the first name of the case. That is only a backup, that is not the rule. Alright, you're also free to provide illustration. Now once those are taken care of, it's always recommended that you give the recent amendment recent case laws in that regard. For example, while I was referring to the answer on offenses against marriage, I was looking for the case Joseph Shine versus Union of India, and what was surprising was out of the 200 odd sheets that was corrected, I got 2 answer scripts with that case. Well, that is the relevant, that is how you keep up to the law that is changing. Alright, and I would also suggest in your conclusion you provide an analysis and opinion about your take on that provision from the statement that is laid. Unless you have these components in your long answer and it is clearly provided, please do not expect to pass. Alright, now let me take you through the short answers where you are definitely, again, the expectation is on a lesser level, is about section, concept and case laws, where you're not expected to elaborate so much on the essentials, but to provide the essential section and the relevant case laws. And one of the most common questions that I have is how many case laws can you write? Well, it is totally dependent upon the topic. Like for example, a topic of murder and culpable homicide, a minimum of 10 is recommended. Whereas when you have a case of, say for example, 377, the prominent 4 cases are what we are looking at. So when you prepare your answers, when you study, make sure you also systematically have that in place. See, this is not just about mugging up. Unless you have your foundation or base foundation clear, it's close to impossible to actually make an analytical study on any of the topics. So if you do not know that you have Navajit Singh Johhar's case in 377, if you're going to analyze 377 without knowing what it is, which part of it has been declared unconstitutional, your analysis is baseless, right? So it is important that you have your foundation set and you prepare it with the pointers and an explanation to the pointers. One of the important question that you would have is a problem-based question, which can come for a 10 marker or a 5 marker, right? Usually we expect the IRAC, which you neither find the I or the C in the IRAC in an answer script. There are papers that you go wow about, but some of the common mistakes is how it goes into it. So first thing that you need to identify is the issue. Say for example, A should be by mistake. Is A liable for the murder of B? So now you're looking at the question here is the liability of B. What is the relevant law that is applicable here? Do we take so you're going to be, is the defense applicable to them? Which is a section of the law that is applicable? And that after highlighting that, how are you going to apply into the problem that's given to you? Now that is what is a very crucial portion, which means you need to analyze those with the recent or the relevant and the relevant case laws. So while you're substantiating your argument for applying the principle, You must point out, okay, to claim a defense of mistake, these are the essentials that you require. And this is how the court has interpreted in this case. Therefore, because of these reasons, it is either applicable to this case or it is not applicable to this case. This is how you come down to a conclusion to say that, so for the above reasons stated, this is what is a conclusion that you are coming down to. You may not, the problem might be a replica of a decided case. So that decided case must be reflected. You might not want to agree with the case. That is all right, provided you're able to give a reason why the particular conclusion of yours is going to be different from a decided case. That's totally allowed, provided you're able to give a recent decision. All right. So if you please can take care of these things while answering your exams, I believe concept also is taken care of. This kind of helps the evaluator to also identify if you have understood what is relevant. All right. Instead of beating around the bush about when a question about marriage, do not start out with the purpose of marriage. It's not relevant to the answer when you have offenses against marriage. Even if you have to make a line about why offenses against marriage is brought under Indian Penal Code, it is good. Please do not give us answers like marriage is for procreation and it's a basic institution. Please cut out on those nonsensical part and have these matters filled. Thank you very much. Hope all of you benefit and I hope to see better answers.